the other thing that I've been thinking about is most people don't think about their intention. They think about what they want to do. And again, this kind of links into the first thing that I kind of was thinking about. I think so many of us in life are so unconscious. We are just coasting through life. We're just going through the motions. What do some people call it? The rat race. We're just doing things over and over and over and over and over again. And we've never really taken time to stop and reflect. I said to a student yesterday, she had come into my office and she was a little bit stressed out, and there was a lot of things going on in her family, and she says that she feels out of control. And I said to her, have you been journaling? Because I say to most students who are going through a hard time, journal, write the things that you're going through down. And she said, yes, sir, I've been doing that. And I said, okay, so that's the first level. The second level is to actually look back and reflect on what you've wrote down. Meaning a lot of people, like back in the days when I first started journaling, I would just write things down and I'd never read it again. But now I'm at a point in my life where not only do I write something down, but I go back and reflect on it and think about it. In fact, me doing these journal entries with you guys is a way for me to reflect. It is a way for me to look back on what I wrote down and look at it. And what did I mean by that? Where was I? Why do I think like that? Which kind of leads to the next stage, which is breaking it, analyzing it and breaking it apart, which is what I said to her. I said, if you really want to take back the control in your life and try to focus on the areas that you can control, you got to start breaking the different aspects of your life down into pieces, and then you've got to start analyzing them. You've got to start asking questions like, how is this happening? Why is this happening? How can I stop it? How can I change it? How are other people dealing with the same situation? Is this new? Is this unique? Are there any principles? Are there any keys? Is there a book I could read on this? Is there anyone who can support me? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, you've actually got to be active about life. And what I said to her yesterday was, I won't say her name, so let's use, I don't know, Crown. Let's say her name was Crown. I said to Crown, Crown, one of the things that I have learned in my life is that life seems to grow, like become successful, and people seem to have momentum, and we seem to move forward in life when we put more than 60% of the responsibility of an area in our control. And what I have found is, and this is the example that I gave her, what I have found is that most people put about 80% of how things the responsibility of how things work out on other factors like their boss, the NHS, their parents, and then they want to do 20%. And the 20% that they are responsible for, they're not even mastering. They're not even activating and operating in the 20% at like 100%. They're actually doing it at about 40%. And so what I have learned in my life, and the example that I gave Crown yesterday, is I said to her that, look, I remember one time I broke down in my car, and when I broke down, I stayed in my car and put on my hazard lights. And people were driving past me, and they were so angry, and they were so frustrated, and they were really pissed off because I just sat in my car and I had my hazard lights on. And I remember I broke down again in the same car another time. But this time what I did was I got out of my car and started pushing my car. And something fascinating happened. What happened was that people stopped their cars, got out of their cars and started helping me to push my car. And I reflected on this because I was like, well, that's weird. Why would people get out of their cars to help me when I'm trying to push my car? But before, when I had broken down, nobody stopped to try and help me. And what I realized was that, and this is one of the keys that I've realized about life, is that if you start and you start moving and have momentum and you do your bit to the best of your ability, life activates something. It activates, I guess you could call it luck, you could call it coincidence, you could call it grace. I don't know what word you want to use, but something happens when you start taking responsibility for your life, when you start moving forward with your own life, when you start actually operating and doing the best that you can do. Something happens. I don't know what it is. Don't ask me because I don't know what it is. But it's something around this luck thing. And I've just realized that in life, a lot of us aren't putting in 100% on the areas that we can control, right? And part of that is because we're not focusing on those areas. We're not paying attention to those areas. We don't even want to see the areas. You know, I say to people all the time that if you really want to improve something, you've actually got to look at it. I remember when I was in debt, one of the first things that helped me get out of debt is I started opening all the letters where I'd been sent letters from the bailiffs, because then I actually knew how much am I in debt. You know, and if you don't believe that you are somebody who doesn't like to live in denial, let me ask you a question. Most of us have apps, like banking apps. Have you set up your banking app to send you alerts every single time that you spend money? When you go to buy something, do you put your card into the machine or do you just tap it? When you check your balance of how much money you have in your bank account regularly? I know that sounds, you're going to be like, well, Kasim, that's such an easy example and it doesn't really mean anything. I agree. It is a very simple example, but it tells you something. It doesn't tell you everything, but it tells you something, right? About the way in which you think about the world. And so, yeah, you know, as I say, I'm just curious about your intention. Why are you going to work? Why are you in the job that you're in currently? Why do you go to the gym? Why are you in the relationship that you're in now? Like, you've just actually got to like break this stuff down. You've got to actually analyze it. You've got to look at, what do I actually have control of? What what was it? I was watching a video online the other day, with a guy called Dorian Yates. Dorian Yates is like a bodybuilder. I think he's like a 6 times Mr. Olympia. And he was training a guy called Mike Thurston. And one of the things that he said was, Mike Thurston asked him, if somebody is not getting the gains that they want, then what do you think is wrong? What are they doing wrong? Like, why are they, if somebody's going to the gym and eating properly and they are going to the gym, why are they not getting gains? And he said, and I found this fascinating, he said, well, they can't be doing it. They can't be doing everything correctly, because if they were doing everything correctly, they would be getting the gains that they're looking for. They would be making the progress that they're looking for, right? And I remember this is actually one of the biggest, this is what, now that I'm thinking about it, this is why I connected so much with what he said. Because I remember back when I first started on, like, I was in debt, I was very suicidal, I was struggling in my life. One of the things that helped me was the day that I came to the realization that I could not have had all the answers, because if I had all the answers, then I would have been successful, right? If my way of doing things was so right, then I wouldn't have been in debt. Then I wouldn't have been in a situation where I was unhappy and even thinking about taking my own life, right? I can't have figured everything out if I was in that situation. Does that make sense? I don't know if that kind of makes sense. And that's why I think I connected so much with that. Because it is true, sometimes in life, we have to look at ourselves and say, if you think you're so good looking, why is it that nobody wants you? Why is it that of all the billions of people, no one wants to be in a relationship with you? If you say that you are, your book and your writing is so good, why is it that of all the billions of people on the planet, nobody wants to buy it? If you think that you're so good at singing and you're so talented, but nobody wants to take you on, you have to ask yourself, Are you? Now, you may be great at singing, but what you're missing is the marketing. You're missing the charisma, the personality, right? And then that goes back to the bit where you have to actually go back to intention, and you got to analyze stuff and break things down. And I just feel like a lot of us don't break things down. A lot of us don't analyze stuff. A lot of us don't really examine our intentions, why we're doing stuff. How long have we been doing it? Is it working? Is it failing? And I encourage you to do it. I encourage you to look at your life and examine it. I encourage you to look at your body and see, is this body that you've got currently really a representation of who you are and the kind of body you're capable of having, or is it really a representation of how lazy you are? I don't know. I'm not saying, by the way, that you are that. I'm just saying that's just something for you to think about, something for you to reflect on, right? So I think I will stop the video here. And because I've got so many points I could go on, but I think you get the point of what I was thinking about and I was reflecting on this week. What have you been thinking about? Comment below. You know me. I'm always keen to hear people's perspectives and what people think and where people are in their own lives. I'm always keen. So send comment below. Send me a message. I'm always keen. Yeah, if there's a type of video you want me to create, or there's a topic that you want me to talk about and give you my perspective on, send me a Instagram.